cats and kittens. So, today, day number 2 of distance learning. So, before we begin, I want to go over what we're going to be doing. First, we're going to start with more decimal multiplication like we did yesterday. We'll move into exponents. We're going to go into rounding with decimals. I know that was a trouble when we were learning that in class, so I decided to throw that in today. More story problems. I'm going to go over a different kind today that was also on yesterday's work. And radius of circles, because I know that was another thing that we were struggling with before we went to break. So I want to refresh our memory on that. So let us begin. First off, decimal multiplication. On the first part of your worksheet, you're going to see a couple equations. The first one is not decimal 86, not 0.86, 86 hundredths. Times it by 76. How many decimal places do you see so far? Or do you see? Because this is all there's going to be right now. 2. 1 and 2. So when we get to our answer, you're going to want to put 2 decimal places in your answer. So first up, I wrote this down wrong. That should be 78. So first equation, 8 times 6. What is 8 times 6? Ready? Yep, 48. All right, next up, 8 times 8. What is 8 times 8? Get ready, go. 64 plus 4 is 68. And what do we do before we get to the tens place? Put a 0 in the ones column. Because you know we have 0, ones, tens, hundreds. Next up, 7 times 6. What is 7 times 6? 7 times 6 is 42. So you're going to put 2 here. Look, there's already 4 up there for us. And then our last part for the multiplying is 7 times 8. And 7 times 8 is 56. 56 plus 4 is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is 60. Then add that all together. You have 8 plus 0 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. 6 plus 0 is 6, but you have a 1, so that would be 7 and 6. Now, don't forget our last step. How many decimal places do we need to put in there? 2. So if our decimal is right here now, we have to go to the left 2 places. So there is our answer. 67 and, remember for the decimal we say and 8 hundredths. So you'll have a couple of those problems to do on your own now. Next up we have exponents. Exponents. So on our first problem for exponents, we have 2 to the 4th power, or 2 to the power of 4. Now we know that does not mean 2 times 4. What this means is you're going to have 2 times it by itself 4 times. So this broken out, what you need to do on your worksheet is write out the full equation of what this means is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Now we can solve this. Pretty simple. How I do it is I work it down the line. I know right here I have 2 times 2, which is 4. Now I have here 2 times 2, which is 4. I still haven't used this multiplication symbol yet, so I can plug it in there. So my new equation is 4 times 4, which is 16. Done. Make sure you're circling your answer on your worksheet so I can see where the answer is when I'm going through to check it in your portfolios. All right, next up, rounding. Nope, division. Something I forgot to throw in there. Division. We have more division practicing. So, pretty simple. I wrote it out this way so you can get used to how it can look, a different form. This is the same as this. Oops. Well, that gave you the answer. 4. And 4 times what equals 24, or 24 divided by 4 is 6. Because we know 6 times 4 equals 24. That's how you check your work. So if anything ever tells you to check your work, see if you can just rewrite it a different way. We know that division and multiplication are opposites of each other. All right, now we can get to rounding. So the first problem on your worksheet is 391 thousandths. I want you to round this to hundredths. So before we get into this, let's remind ourselves. We have our ones, then your decimal, then you have tenths, right? Not tens, tenths. Notice the TH in there. Hundredths, thousandths. Might be a good idea to write this part on your worksheet to remind yourself when you're doing the problems. So the first thing you want to do is look at this. How many digits do I have in here? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So this is 391 thousandths. I only want it in hundredths. Where's the hundredths? The second digit right here. So this is all I want. I have an extra number here. I have a 1. If I have a 1, am I rounding up or down? Down. It's 4 or less. So I can basically just erase that number. So my answer, rounding 391 thousandths to 39 hundredths. So I went from 391 thousandths to 39 hundredths. All right. Next part, story problems. This is going to be the second problem on your worksheet because yesterday I explained a different one. So I want to show you the 2 types of story problems that we're working with for right now. Because some of you solved this a different way yesterday, and I want to show you how we usually do it in class. And a great way for you to explain it to your parents as well. I think it's a great way to do this stuff. So we have 5/8 of ants were workers. There were 60 worker ants. How many ants in all? Question mark. So, let's look at our keywords here. We have 5/8 ants and workers. You probably already noticed what I'm going to turn this into. Letter equations. Because we have 5/8 of ants means times ants. A equals what? Were, remember, of means times, this means equal. W. And what does it tell us in the next sentence? 60 worker ants, which is ants or worker ants? Worker ants. So I can already cross this out and put in 60. Now I have 5/8 A equals 60. Now I want to get all the numbers on the one side and get the letter all by itself on one side of the equation. So I want to multiply it by its reciprocal, 8/5. And here I will put 8/5. And as you all know very well, how do I multiply a whole number by a fraction? Put the whole number over 1, because now it's a fraction. So now I have a all by itself, because 8/5 times 5/8 equals 1. So I have a equals 60 over 1 times 8/5. Now I need to solve it. 1 times 5 is 5. Now I can do 60 times 8. Times 8. So now I have 60 times 8, which you can solve, because 8 times 0 is 0, and 8 times 6 is 48. So my answer, 480. So I have 480 over 5. Am I done? Nope. I can divide this. So I'm going to do that over here, so we have a little bit more room. I'll make that bigger. Five can go into 48 how many times? 9 times, because 9 times 5 is 45. Put it down here. 48 minus 45, 5. 6, 7, 8, so that'd be 3. Bring down the 0. 5 can go into 30 6 times. So what does this mean? 96 ants in all, which equals A. Boom. So if I were to rewrite the problem, I would say 5/8 times 96 equals 60. Done. Now, our last problem. Not radius of a circle, area of a circle. So, as we know, the area of a circle, remember, the symbol down here tells me what I'm solving for, what shape, equals pi times radius squared. And on our first circle, we have 4. I believe it's 4 feet. So, I know my radius of this circle is 4 feet. What do I also know about this equation? What does pi equal? 3 1400ths. So I'll write that here. Pi equals 3 1400ths. So, and I also know that my radius for this circle is 4. So now I can plug these in. So now I have 3 1400ths times 4 squared. And what does 4 squared equal? What is 4 times 4? Because remember, it's not 4 times 2, it's 4 times 4. It's 16. So instead of writing it here, I'm going to put it under here so we can start working the problem. Because this is that. All right. So, our first step, 6 times 4, 24. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 6 times 3, 18. Now, next up. Before I can go here, what do I need to do? Put a 0 in the ones place. Now, quick math, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Add it together. 4 plus 0 is 4. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Boom. 8, 9, 10. 3, 4, 5. Now, I'm not done yet. It's just like the first part of here. What am I working with? Decimals. Decimal multiplication. How many places are there? 1 and 2. So I need to move my decimal that's here right now to the left 2 spaces, right there. Now, there's one more thing I need to do. Label, right here. Label my answer. But it's not just feet, it's squared feet. Whenever you're doing the area, it's always squared. And then whatever unit of measurement you're using. In this case, it's feet. And that concludes today's lesson. I hope you all have a great day. Remember, your assignment is going to be doing the portfolio by 1 o'clock today. Take care.